Hi guys, once again. Okay, it might be a bit bright because the clearing light in the background. I don't know what this video is about just yet, but I'm just gonna start talking for a bit. I might read you something, but yeah. Um, so initially I was just thinking, today, and I was just feeling like I was just watching a video on like people going on Omegle. I'm not Omegle because obviously it's been banned right now. Let me take this out. Yeah. But like they were going on like Amigo, whatever it is, the alternative is, and I'm just talking to random people. And I was just thinking, people need to ask each other like more questions. I don't think we do it as much. We don't do it as often. Like, I think it was a couple weeks ago when I just decided to start asking people just random questions out of nowhere. Like, one of them was like, what was it again? I'm trying to remember. When was the last time you remembered your mortality, or like when was the last time you remembered you almost died or something like that? And I asked a couple of people that question. A lot of them, a couple gave me funny answers. A lot of them gave me very deep answers, and it led into like a whole thing. I loved it. But yeah, like we need to ask each other more questions. People are interesting, and we forget that a lot. I feel like people want to be asked all the questions, but forgetting that you know somebody might want to be asked as much as you do. I'm not really like a journalist type. I don't think I am, but like I find people interesting. Like just going outside, talking to random people, it makes my day. Just meeting new folks and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we should talk to more people, talk to new people, and ask them questions. Ask them questions that we would want to be asked ourselves. Make for an interesting time. That's just yeah. That's mainly like where I wanted to. Oh, but I will. Oh, should I do that next video? You only live once. So, like a couple months ago, this was like around last year, I had entered the national poetry competition. Your boy's a poet, and I'm a bit bitter because I didn't win. And I read the poems that did win. They were calm. They were good. Were they better than mine? Absolutely not. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna read out the poem to you, and you can decide for yourself whether or not it deserved to win. I think it deserved to win. I think that I'm just being real. So I'll read it out. Hold on. Should I hold the camera up so you can see my face while I read it, or oh, this is a better angle, sort of. My room's kind of messy. Don't mind it too much. So the title of this poem I can't remember, but we'll get there. So I'll start off now. You're so beautiful when bare. The tears open your eyes but cloud them when you look to where the source of your aches come from. You still want some because you're called a visionary. Results twisted and your mind is full of queries. Can I rejoice? Can I rewind? Will I scream and find it isn't my sound? I beat the face of God into the ground. I bleed but fashion a masterpiece and beg it to release me now. Am I crazy to want to kill my baby? I look at you and see myself. You make me hate me. Why must I always make a thorn into a rose, a pain into a prose? I crave to write a symphony on a day I just awoke. I feel consumed still. I'm out of my body and watch their words spill. Divine inspiration divides me any time it wills. I crave it till I realize God cannot live in a body. So which one of us will die? Will I kill my muse, or will there be my demise? That mother muse, bile leaks from her breast covered in flies. I am recluse. I saw Bella look inside her eyes, a storm composed of screams and banshee cries. Split my head free, but left me paralyzed. In paradise, I had reached its edge. The beast called out to me and laid my bed. With gentler hands than that of my mother, it laid me under the cold covers. And my life is free of threat, but it is free of love, passion, rage, blood and sweat. Cold poem, innit? Yeah, cold poem. I got it wrong on like the second line, the second to last line. It laid me under the cold covers. I kind of mumbled a bit. But yeah, I'll break it down because when I show this poem to people, they don't seem to ask me like, what is it about? I'm thinking, just gonna read the poem. Like, obviously, I want to get your thoughts on it, but like, nobody asked me what I think it's about. Like, this seems like basic. You know. Okay, so the first stanza, so from You're So Beautiful When Bare to Can I Rejoice, that entire line. Well, let me start off with what the poem is essentially is about. So it's basically about, creativity and how it is, the leading source of madness, or how it, how it just breaks apart a creative. Like, you've heard people like, I don't know, Vincent van Gogh, for example. That guy went mad. He chopped his ear off. you know a lot of the times creativity has been linked with madness because of the fact that your mind just goes off on a limb, on a lamb. So that's just what I wanted to make the poem about. I feel like I'm a conduit of creativity, and so there are times where I do feel a bit crazy, but then I embrace that craziness. But then it can always go too far. There's always too much of a good thing, and when you get this good thing too much, it leads to madness, of course. So that's basically what the poem is about, and it explores every different avenue of that. I don't think I'm explaining it as well as I did before, because I feel like a whole voice note explaining this. But yeah, so let me read it again. You're so beautiful and bare, the tears open your eyes, but cloud on when you look to where. Mm. So you're so beautiful when bare. So like when you want to express yourself within art, you know, it's of course a beautiful thing, but you make yourself very vulnerable because it's a personal thing. You're really just reaching into your soul and just grabbing any singular part of it that you can and chucking it out to the world like this is me. So it is a vulnerable thing. So you're so beautiful when bare. You're bare. You're completely spread out for people to observe and see you, to love your form, to hate your form, whatever it is. The tears open your eyes, but cloud them when you look to where the source of your aches come from. So obviously you're afflicted by this vulnerability, and you try to, like, identify, why do I feel this way? Why has this madness? Why has this sadness? Why has this anger come over me? Ooh, I found it now. So you still want some because you're called a visionary. Like there's that hype around being a creative. Like, oh, these people love me because of my art. I need to keep creating this. I need to keep feeling this in order to create it. Honestly, a lot of the time people attach, art with pain. Only the most like fantastic artworks or art pieces or masterpieces come out of, pain, struggle, strife, whatever it is, whatever negative emotion. It always comes of something that has its root in pain. So that's really what I'm talking about here. You're damaging yourself because you're called a visionary. People love you for it. But then you can't see the fact that you're going blind because of this vision that you're seeing. Anyway, results twisted and your mind is full of queries. You lose that sense of self that you once had because you're so lost in it. You become your pain at the end of the day. So your mind is full of questions like, what am I doing to myself? How long will this last? How long until I lose that spark? When will the next spark come? Can I rejoice? Can I rewind? Will I scream and find it? Isn't my sound? That last question particularly is important because it's just like it's showing that the creativity has consumed you to the point it depersonalizes you. Like I said before, you lose that sense of self. You're no longer yourself. You become the muse. You know, say you want to write a poem on storms or something like that. What I'm basically saying is that in that sense, you become the storm. You are no longer yourself. In order to reach into that divine inspiration, you have to lose everything that's sort of non-divine about you. To become a god, you have to like forget you're human. Simple as. I beat the face of God into the ground. The next stanza. So the next stanza starts from I beat the face of God into the ground to I create to write a symphony on the day I just about yada yada yada. So I beat the face of God into the ground. Initially I had wrote that line like way back, like way back, and I was like, this is so cold. I need to use it some way somehow. And I did use it. I used it in this poem. I beat the face of God into the ground. How beautiful is that line? I freaking love it. I'm too cold. Yeah, I beat the face of God into the ground. Sorry, I'm just a man at work, man. So yeah, it's creating something beautiful that have something brutal as well. Beating. So it's a very brutal act. Beat the face of God. Obviously, the face of God is going to be something that's beautiful, something that's a masterpiece of all masterpieces. Something that's inconceivable, but when conceived, it will blow your mind away. And yet you're beating it through such vigor, through such pain, through such struggle. You know, It's a juxtaposition. It's an oxymoron. Like, this shouldn't be happening. Like, if anything, the face of God is something composed of gentle brushstrokes, not flipping fist strikes. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, but like, that's the dichotomy of like creativity, I guess. I bleed but fashion a masterpiece. Again, you're bleeding for your art. I bleed but fashion a masterpiece and beg it to release me now because of this like love that you have for your art, if you can call it love, because of this obsession you have for your art. You know, you become a slave to it. You beg it to release you because it's now your master. You're no longer the creator. It's the creator of you now. It decides your fate. Whatever it happens to it will happen to you tenfold. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if it's praised tenfold, you will receive that praise tenfold, but at a price. Because if it's mocked, you will also be mocked. That stress is just going to be increased. I beg it to release me now. You're in handcuffs. You're in a ball and chain, bro. Like, I'm telling you right now. Your psyche's doing numbers. Do you understand? Am I crazy to want to kill my baby again? Even though it is your master, you did make it to begin with. You're its mother, you're its father, you're its creator. You want to kill it. You want to kill it. Because of the fact that it's put you in this prison. You know, am I crazy to want to kill my baby? You know, you get all these thoughts like, wow, my art has made me feel this way. What if I just burn it all? What if I just stop? What if I just leave this in the past? Am I crazy to want to kill my baby? I put my heart and soul into this. Yeah, I want to throw it into a fire. Am I crazy for that? I don't know. You answer that question, man. I look at you and see myself. You make me hate me. Again, art is a reflection of oneself. So when you see everything that you put into the art and see how it damages you, you think, wow, I must really hate myself. I do hate myself because of this. Why must I always make a thorn into a rose, a pain into a prose? Those two lines specifically refer to the fact that, sorry, let me burp. Pardon me. Specifically refer to the fact that, you know, when making art, you know, you have to reach into that element of pain, a thorn into a rose. You know, a rose is obviously something beautiful. It's like associated with romance, with love, beauty, all that sort. And a thorn is the crux to that, you know. Every rose has its thorn. Every beautiful thing has something ugly about it or something painful about it. It's the same with art. Why must I make a thorn into a rose? You know, why must I feel this pain in order to make something beautiful? Last line. I crave to write a symphony on a day I just awoke. The person just wants to, you know, they just want to chill. They just want to make something beautiful for the sake of it being beautiful. You know, they don't want to have to like go through these trials and tribulations. They want to just wake up one day and be able to compose something amazing, something stunning, something that'll capture you. You know, they don't want to have to go through all that nonsense, whatever. Oh yeah, that quote in the back, I read it with this thing. I just wanted to mention, I've been seeing it in the back, just sitting there. But yeah. Okay. Third stanza now. I feel consumed still, I'm out of my body, and what's their word spill? Divine is, okay wait, let me stop. So from I consume still to will I kill my muse or will they be my demise? Okay, I feel consumed still. Again, you feel consumed by your art. That's a given. I'm out of my body and watch their words spill. When making art, sometimes people go into a sort of flow state when they become not themselves, I should say, you know. Like they're no longer themselves. Again, divine inspiration, which I will get in onto. You know, I'm out of my body and watch their words spill. You notice the change. The change in our adjectives, not adjectives, I forgot pronouns, sorry. I watch their words spill. You're no longer yourself. That husk is no longer me, bro. I'm watching from afar. I'm seeing myself doing the writing. I'm seeing myself doing the music. I'm seeing myself playing this. I'm seeing myself singing that. I'm no longer inside myself. I'm just watching it come from them. Wow, it's marvelous. But that's not me. That's not me. I'm out of my body and watch their words, but divine inspiration divides me anytime it wills. Anytime it wills. You know? Comes at a price. It comes at a price. Divine inspiration divides me and at times you don't know when that spark of creativity will hit you, but when it does, you better latch onto it. It divides you any time it wills. It doesn't matter what your agenda is. You could be wanking off somewhere. If you get the sun and inspiration to write something, to make something, to sing something, then you just have to go do it. It doesn't matter. Divine inspiration divides you anytime it wills. And again, it's divine because it is your God at the same time. It's not just divine for the sake of it. You worship it. You need to understand that. You worship it. I'm getting intense. But it's good. I need to be intense for this. I need to make you understand this. Why I think it should have won. Sometimes I feel like people don't break down my poems as much as I do. I put a lot of thought and attention into them. Not for them to just be glanced at once and like, oh, it's pretty. Obviously, I make it so that when you read it, you understand it. Like, you understand that there's emotion, there's feeling, there's strength behind it, behind each and every word. But then, if you're not gonna like do the knowledge and like investigate a bit more, then hey, there's only so much you can grasp from it. It's a beautiful poem just on its own, but like when you dig into it deeper, that's when it becomes. I'm guessing myself up way too much. But yeah. Anyway, I crave it till I realize God cannot live in a body. You know, you are a finite being. You really think you can contain infinity inside you all at once and it just not have any repercussions? You're foolish. Divine inspiration divides you anytime it was literally and physically. You'll begin to tear yourself apart. Hey, Van Gogh chopped his ear off. Divine inspiration divided him, literally. So, yeah, I realized God cannot live in a body, so which one of us would die? Will I kill my muse or would they be my demise? You know, often it's a case of where like the creative shuns their creativity and loses it and just pushes it away. Just pushes it away. Or the latter happens and they become their demise. They die because of the fact that their creativity consumed them to an unhealthy extent. Whether it's because they were putting too many hours into creating their art, whether it's because they were finding inspiration in the wrong places, or whether it's because like they just couldn't handle the things that came with the fame and fortune that you can get from creativity. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, it doesn't end well usually. Rarely does it end well. It's like a storm, bro. Okay, so fourth stanza now. That mother muse up until in paradise I had reached its edge. So that mother muse, okay. So obviously this is like a reference to like how the Greeks had that invocation of the muse at the start of like epic poems. I called upon this muse, yada yada yada, so that I may do this, do that. It's just sort of that. It's just like a slight reference. Just cheeky like Greek classical reference, or whatever the hell. Yeah, that mother muse. So obviously she's been depicted. I've depicted them as a mother. I think the muses are like depicted as females traditionally, but that's not the reason why I depicted as a mother. It's because like creativity can be this nurturing figure, but like it has a big impact on you. The same way your mother does. If your mother tells you you look ugly, you look this, or like you're a vile human being, that will affect you because it's your mother. It's the person who gave you life. In another sense, creativity also gives you life. It gives you a newfound sort of life. It gives you life within life. I'm just talking. But yeah, it's sort of like a mother because anything that happens to creativity or anything that creativity brings up out of the world will affect you directly. Do you get what I'm saying? So that mother muse. So like to me, creativity is much, or the creative spirit is very much like a mother. Very much like a mother. That's what I've called it, mother muse. I don't. I feel like that'd be a recurring theme in the rest of my poems I've already made some more, but yeah. Bow leaks from her breast, covered in flies. I am recluse. So even though she is this mother, she's putrid almost. She's everything that a mother shouldn't be. Bow leaks from her breast, covered in flies. You sort of get this flash imagery of, you know, just being breastfed by this figure that's meant to be a mother, but is been corrupted completely. Your creativity has been corrupted completely because of the fact that you've allowed it to get this far. You allowed it to get this dark. That mother muse, bow leaks from her breast, covered in flies. Hey, sorry mother, innit? I am recluse. You then isolate yourself. I mean, we've heard it before, creatives often tend to isolate themselves a lot. I so drove by the look inside her eyes, when you look into the eye of creativity, when you understand this is what I am worshipping, this is what, you know, has brought me up. I need to leave. I need to escape this because when I look into her eyes, I see nothing but fear and rage and madness. I can't have that for myself. The cycle ends with me. So yeah, I still drove her by to look inside her eyes. A storm composed of screams and banshee cries. That's what they get when they look inside, screams, banshee cries, scary. Split my head free, but left me paralyzed. Like now you understand, but at the same time, you're shook, as you should be. You've gazed into the abyss, like you've understood all the ramifications that have happened, but like it may be too late. That's why you're left paralyzed. Maybe it's too late, maybe it's not too late, but either way, you've allowed this to happen to you. You're shocked. You're shocked so much that you stiffen up and stuff. Split my head free, but left me paralyzed. In paradise, I had reached that. So when obviously you're a creative, you reach that, that flow state that I mentioned before, but also like a state of bliss, like wow, I've made this. I feel amazing. Like I've really put my art on a piece of paper in audio form. I've really put my art on like a blank canvas. I've really just like expressed myself. I feel amazing. You know, you're just chilling. You're just chilling. But like because of the line before, split my head free but left me paralyzed in paradise. Even though you're in that state of bliss, you can't enjoy yourself anymore. In paradise, I had reached its edge. Paradise is never meant to have an edge. That's how you know this is a farce. That's how you know it's temporary. Which paradise has an edge? Tell me. Hmm? Hmm? See now, and assume what's at the edge of paradise? If not, if not hell, if not purgatory, if not inferno, any of that, bro. If paradise has an edge, you've got to assume the worst is beyond it. You've got to assume the worst, because this is paradise. What could possibly be beyond there? Definitely not something better. Definitely not something better. The first few years of your career is smooth sailing. You're this visionary, you're this revolutionary, and then you reach its edge, wherever it may be. You may develop a sort of addiction. That paradise begins to, it's an oasis dream. It's gone. And the last stanza, the beast called out to me, and up until now my life is free of fear. Okay. The beast called out to me and laid my bed. So this beast is like the culmination of all those evil and negative thoughts. It's the culmination of all of those. It's calling out to you, come, and laid my bed. But you have to clock out. You have to clock out. It's really as simple as that. Like, you've done all that you can with your art. Maybe you could have done more. But that's the beast talking anyway. Now it's time to go to sleep. Come on. Just calling to you with a long fingernailed finger, like just a claw. Oh my day. With gentler hands than that of my mother. How ironic is that? How ironic is that? The beast that has been plaguing you throughout your entire life, that is now calling you to your bed, to lay you to rest, has not tugged you in with gentler hands than that of your mother who handled you. That mother that made you feel the throes of life. And it makes sense. Oh my gosh, it laid me under the cold covers again. Death is a cold embrace. I like my pillows cold anyway, bro. You get what I'm saying? Now my life is free of threat. You don't have a life anymore. But let's say you do. Now my life is free of threat, but it's free of love, passion, rage, blood and sweat. So even if you do like escape that beast or that creativity or that like the corrupted mother muse, the corrupted version of the mother muse, even if you escape it all, your life is free of threat for sure. But it's free of the things that make life life: love, passion, rage, blood and sweat. You're not living if you've never had any of those. You're barely living if you just had one. You better have all of them, all five. Is it five? Love, passion, rage, blood and sweat. There we go, random money 5. Yeah, life is free of threat, innit? Happy days. You live a boring life now, congratulations. Does anybody want that for themselves? Not really. Sometimes that's the risk you have to take if you want to be a creative for so long. You can go hard, party hard for as long as you want, but then like when you reach that point, hey, let me back off. I've had enough partying in my life. Let me just eat, I don't know, flipping malt BTs every day, not really do anything adventurous, you know, live in the heart, have a standard 9 to 5. But he wants to live like that. I'd rather die. As simple as. Okay? But yeah, that's my poem. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I think it's called. Let me check. Let me check. Yabba dabba doo. I can't remember. It's not. That's the title of another poem. Never mind. Um. Oh, it's Let Me Live. I think with each LML, Let Me Live. Yeah. So I forget. Wait. I think the first letter of each word is capitalized. I'd have to check again, but yeah, it is Let Me Live. So yeah, I guess that's what the video. I think this is my longest video. Yeah, it's analysis of my poem. You know, I think I should have won that. You guys can go search up what's it, the poems on the national poetry competition. Like which ones won the top three. They're not outdoing mine. I don't care. They're not outdoing mine. Which poem has this sort of passion in it? I want you to tell me like right now. Anyways, thank you for coming. Don't like, don't subscribe, dislike the video. I don't give a toss. Anyways, I bid you adieu. I might upload that. Actually, I might upload sooner. Whenever it hits me, you know, creativity and all that. Bye bye.